All right, for this video, we will be covering map reading and more essentially the marginal information found on a military map. So, what we're going to be covering is identifying the marginal information found on a military map and understand what that information actually means. So, to kind of start it all off, we'll be covering the sheet name, sheet number, and adjoining map sheet diagram. So, what the sheet name is essentially going to tell you is the overall area that you're looking at for your map. So in this case, this example is saying the Fort Knox military installation map. Okay, so that means that the map that you would be looking at would majorly cover the Fort Knox military installation. Okay, then you have the sheet number. Okay, so what this sheet number tells you is how this map fits into the bigger picture. And that's where the adjoining map sheets diagram comes in. And so that way, in the event that you would need to go, say, outside of your map, you would have an idea of the number that you would need to look for to find out, the next map that you would need if you were to go into that area. Okay, so now we're going to look at special notes. So all the special notes does is kind of gives you a little bit more information about the map that you are actually looking at. Okay, so it's always good whenever you are looking at particularly a new map that you are unfamiliar with, is to look over the notes and just kind of make sure that you understand it. All right. Next is the declination diagram. Now, the declination diagram is extremely important. It will actually depict the three different norths that are found on a military map. Okay, so the first one that we are going to talk about is magnetic north. Okay, and magnetic north is the north that your compass will actually point to. Okay, the next one is grid north. So, because the Earth is round and not flat, it is different than magnetic north in the sense of if you grabbed, say, a basketball and you were to point at the very top of it, you would easily be able to find north. Now, if you were to pop that ball and cut it open and lay it down flat, the top of the ball would actually be canted a little bit off to the side. So what this does is this tells you how much of a difference between magnetic north and grid north there is. Okay. And then you have true north. Okay. And that is the exact very tippy top of the earth. Okay. But for land navigation purposes, you will only be using magnetic north and grid north. Okay. Also, what the declination diagram will depict is whether you need to add or subtract, okay, based off of the difference. So in this example, you will see, so we have our magnetic north here, our grid north here, and then it says GM angle 5.1. So what that means is that to go from grid north to magnetic, you need to minus the 5.1. Okay, so that's where you get that. So this information, and as you will see, to convert a magnetic azimuth to a grid azimuth, subtract GM angle. To convert a grid azimuth to a magnetic azimuth, you will add. Okay, so it'll tell you right here exactly what you need to do as far as the declination diagram. So it is extremely important whenever you're doing land navigation is that you reference this diagram and make sure that you understand what you need to do as far as the GM angle goes. Okay, moving on, we have our bar scale. So our bar scale will allow you to measure distance found on your map. Okay, it has three different units of measurement where we have meters here up at the top, followed by yards, statute miles, which is the miles that we are familiar with. And if for some reason you are dealing with, say, like the Navy or water or air, something like that, and you need to calculate nautical miles, then you can reference nautical miles. Okay. For land navigation purposes, you will be dealing in meters. Okay. So just kind of understand that. And here you have on one side it broken into the thousands. So the 0 to 1,000 right here, this dark would be 1,000 meters. followed by 2,000, 3,000, so on and so forth. On the opposite side, it's broken into hundreds. Okay, so this is what you can use to help measure, all right, distance when you are dealing with land navigation. Then it covers the contour interval notes. Okay, so those contour lines, the brown lines that depict elevation on your map. Okay, what this is saying is that in between each contour line is 20 meters. So that would be 20 meters of elevation between contour lines. And then you have your supplementary contours, which are 10 meters. Okay, and then down here at the bottom, we have our grid reference box. Okay, so this will help you in identifying, all right, your actual grid. Okay, so you have your grid designation zone. So in this example, would be 16 Sierra. All right, and then depending on where you are actually at on your map, all right, you would either be in EH, FH, FG, or EG. Okay, so what that means, if you get to 00 as far as your northing goes, or 00 on your easting goes, okay, and where you are at, that's where you will get your square identification. Okay, and then it has it broken down into your actual grid squares. Okay, so for this grid square right here, this would be, because we always read a map right then up, this would be 96, 94, and that would be this grid square. Okay, then you will also find the map agency, and this is whoever produced that map. So in this example, it is prepared by the U.S. Army Sustainable Range Program. And then you have the legend. Okay, legends are very good to look at and kind of, understand what's on there, because the legends found on your map will cover stuff that is only found on your map. So this will give you a good idea of the type of stuff that you may discover on your map. So it's always good just to kind of look it over and understand it. Don't take it for granted that, oh, well, it says vegetation is green. I already know this because that is standard on military map. Okay, but it will tell you, main roads that are out there, freeways, highways, railroads, whether you may have cemeteries in your area, so on and so forth. So it's always good just to kind of look it over, and so you can better understand what's actually found on your map. Okay, so in